Welcome to the 2020 graduation celebration of the Graduate Division School of Arts and Sciences. My name is Beth Wenger, and I am the school's Associate Dean for Graduate Studies. On behalf of the entire Faculty of Arts and Sciences, it is my pleasure to celebrate this occasion with you, with your family, with your friends. Today, your diligence and dedication has paid off as we award your hard-earned master's and doctoral degrees. This is the first virtual graduation ceremony in the long history of the University of Pennsylvania. And I will confess that when I envisioned this day, I imagined all of the graduates processing into the newly renovated Penn Museum auditorium and enjoying a reception held in the museum's glorious galleries. But while we cannot gather together in person as we had hoped and planned, we will not let that detract from our celebration of your enormous accomplishments. Perhaps more than any other previous group of graduates, you have faced the greatest challenges, and you have overcome them in spectacular fashion to earn an advanced degree under unprecedented and challenging circumstances. Not even a global pandemic can keep us from acknowledging your momentous achievements. You have endured so much to arrive at this singular, rewarding day, a day when your family and friends, as well as your professors, can bask in your success. Working closely with graduate students leaves me constantly amazed at the sheer intellectual talent, the passion and focus that every one of you possesses, no matter your area of expertise. In the middle of this crisis, there are those who question the amount of time and resources that it takes to conduct research, to pursue leads that may, at least initially, seem more theoretical than practical. But I urge all of you, whether you choose a career inside or outside of academia, to persevere in your pursuit of new frontiers of knowledge. It was Aristotle who first noted that humans are motivated to seek knowledge by an innate sense of wonder at the world. Much of that same desire motivated molecular biologist Elizabeth Blackburn, who won a Nobel Prize for her discovery of an enzyme that replenishes the caps at the end of chromosomes, a discovery that promises to provide crucial answers to lingering questions about aging and disease. When asked about what had inspired her scientific curiosity as a young child, she recalled simply, "I remember really wanting to know how it all worked." There is something very basic and yet remarkably potent about that essential thirst for discovery. In today's world, more than ever, we need you to find out how it all works. It is precisely in this moment that we implore you to use the tools of reasoning and analysis that you have learned here. You will help us interpret this episode in the context of history. You will find new cures for viruses and diseases, and you will provide new perspectives on the social and economic dynamics that drive our world in both good times and bad. We need your expertise to make decisions based on facts and reason, and we are counting on you to marshal that expertise to seek out new solutions. You are entering a very different world, not only from the one you imagined when you first entered graduate school, but vastly changed even from what you expected just a few months ago. Everything is on pause now, but it won't be forever. So please, don't be a part of getting us back to normal. Push us to seek something better and to aspire to more. On behalf of all the faculty, I want you to know that we are deeply inspired by your fortitude and grace. We are enormously proud of you, and we can't wait to see how you will change our world for the better. And now it is my distinct pleasure to introduce the Dean of the School of Arts and Sciences and Thomas S. Gates, Jr., Professor of Psychology, Pharmacology, and Neuroscience, Dean Stephen J. Fluharty.
Greetings. Let me join with Dean Wenger in extending my warmest congratulations to all of you, our new graduates. I also salute all of the family members and loved ones who are watching with you and who have stood by and supported you so loyally throughout your studies. And I hope that everyone viewing is healthy and safe. I speak for the entire arts and science faculty in saying, in the most heartfelt way possible, how much we wish we could be celebrating your remarkable accomplishments with you in person in Philadelphia. You deserve it. The attainment of a PhD is a major life event and deserves full ceremonial fanfare. But the pure joy of your achievement and the new knowledge you have created also transcend the challenges that the world is experiencing right now. Your time at Penn may not have ended the way anyone expected. Who could have imagined a Zoom dissertation defense? But there is nothing that can take this happy moment away from you, and I hope you are all finding ways to celebrate. At the same time, the complexity of what the world is facing in this current pandemic only underscores how essential the continued evolution of fundamental knowledge in the humanities, social sciences, and natural sciences remains, and therefore just how important your new degree is to our society and to the natural world. Today marks the end of a journey and adventure that you traveled on with your colleagues and professors at Penn. I know how hard you worked over so long a time to reach this moment. I was once a Penn PhD student myself, and know firsthand what you have experienced. Your faculty mentors know how hard you've worked, because they too once logged in all those hours in the field, the library, or the lab. We had our good days and our bad days, but we managed to make it to the end. Of course, this is not simply an end, but it's also a very important beginning, in which your elevation to the rank of scholar. Your faculty advisors have taken great pride in mentoring you just as their advisors did for them when they were graduate students. Knowledge is built slowly over time, and you carry the DNA of centuries of scholars. Many of you will transmit this intellectual heritage still further when you eventually train the next generation of scholars and teachers. You will also understand then how much you have to learn from your graduate students, just as all of you have pushed your mentors to think in important new ways. In this moment, we look to the future, and your and our hopes for the future of knowledge and teaching. During the Middle Ages, to be a master of arts meant that one was a master of the 7 liberal arts, as they were then known, and could lecture on any text in the curriculum. Now, of course, most faculty who practice the arts of grammar and rhetoric, translated into modern terms, the study of literature and language, would probably have trouble teaching cosmology, and the geometer would be challenged by teaching music. Each of us struggles continually just to manage the proliferation of knowledge in our subfields. But as knowledge continues to multiply in the decades to come, your careers will require both highly specialized knowledge and a broad worldview. What you cannot anticipate is where your own career and the future of knowledge will lead you. Each of you has been trained with expertise in a discipline like chemistry, history, or political science. But the thrill of a career as a scholar comes from always learning, from always being open to new ideas and new ways of extending what you know to unexplored fields. Here at Penn, physicists have been transformed into biologists, biologists into anthropologists, and anthropologists into filmmakers. So today, even as you think about all you have accomplished, I hope you too look forward to the future, excited about discovering what you do not now know and accepting the challenge of always learning new things. What you will do and the wisdom you will share will dramatically shape our future in ways we can only imagine now. On behalf of the entire School of Arts and Sciences faculty, let me say how deeply honored and proud we are to welcome today's degree recipients to the community of scholars. Congratulations to you all.
It has long been the custom in the graduate division to invite as a guest speaker an especially distinguished member of Penn's Arts and Sciences faculty. For our guests, such speakers offer an example of the high caliber of scholars that have served as teachers and mentors for our graduates. It is my pleasure to introduce Professor Bhuvnesh Jain, Walter H. and Lenore C. Annenberg Professor in the Natural Sciences, and a member of the Department of Physics and Astronomy. Professor Jain is also co-director of the Penn Center for Particle Cosmology. A fellow of the American Physical Society, Professor Jain is a world-renowned cosmologist. His work on gravitational lensing, the shearing and magnification of light from distant galaxies, provides crucial insights into the least understood phenomenon in the universe, such as dark matter, cosmic acceleration, and dark energy. At a time when we are struggling to make sense of our world, I can think of no one better to speak to us than a scholar who has pioneered our understanding of the universe. I am delighted to welcome Professor Bhuvnesh Jain.
Congratulations, graduates. I'm delighted to be speaking to you today. I want to begin with a little story from the winter of 1993. When some of you may have taken your first steps as toddlers, some of you may have already spoken your first words. But that November, I was tongue-tied. And by tongue-tied, I mean unable to code, since computer programming was the language of my PhD work in cosmology. And I needed to code. I was a fourth-year graduate student, and I had yet to write a single paper on the central work of my thesis. I had worked on that problem for 2 years. The results still did not make sense. Perhaps that sounds familiar to you. It was the early days of computer simulations of the evolving universe, and I was analyzing a simulation to model the distribution of galaxies and dark matter. The story I'm narrating isn't really about the simulations. Rather, it's about human connections, and I hope it will strike a chord with you. So every morning that winter, I'd come in early to my grad school office to get 2 hours at the one computer I shared with 4 office mates. Day after day, by the time my turn was up, I could not figure out why the curves in that plot disagreed so strongly with my mathematical predictions. Math can't be wrong, right? I had verified that calculation over and over. It must be a bug in the computer code. Well, to cut to the chase, it was the math. To be more accurate, it was the assumption that went into the calculation. Turns out, real galaxies don't care about mathematical assumptions. The months it took me to realize that it was the math, to pinpoint the flawed assumption, and then figure out how to go beyond it, those were among the hardest months of my life. Most of that time, I was simply stuck. And I hated November in Boston, which was already impossibly cold to my tropical bones, with the days getting shorter as the rest of the winter stretched out ahead. Every week I wondered, should I quit graduate school? If I had known what to do with myself instead, I might have. No one could help me on the details of that problem. Perhaps that sounds familiar to you too. But when it was all done and I looked back, I realized a lot of people had in fact helped me. I had the kindest and most fun office mates, happy to bounce ideas at the blackboard or to step out for a coffee and complain about the Boston Celtics. There was the friend I played squash with, and after squash, we would sit in the sauna, get a cold drink. These rituals meant so much to us that before the MIT gym would close for breaks, we'd go to the back door and use a postcard to wedge it slightly ajar so we could sneak in and play throughout the break. We were busted only twice by campus police in 5 years. Naturally, this is my proudest achievement at MIT. I had two co-advisors, and the one I did not work on that project with would still spend an hour with me every week, mostly hearing me say the same thing over and over. He may not have noticed that I also happened to get lunch with him towards the end of the month, because I knew he'd insist on paying for my lunch, and I was typically out of cash by then. There was the guy who served falafel at the food truck. I always enjoyed chatting with him for a few minutes. There were the weekend brunches with my cousin, who sent me home with Ziplocs full of savory Indian snacks. So even in that era of landline phones, when I look back, I realized there were a dozen different human connections that kept me going. Without them, on any one of those weekends, I may have pulled the plug and quit. Instead, by the time November turned to December, I was done. I had the key results I needed to write that paper. Today, two of my graduate students, Tay and Lucas, are among you, having completed brilliant theses of their own. And they have had their existential moments at Penn, probably many more than I know about. I actually first met Tay in Tucson 6 years ago. Right after I finished a research talk, he came up to me breathless and said, "I study in Phoenix and drove 2 hours for your talk. I want to work on gravity. So please look for my application to transfer to Penn." And then he disappeared into the Arizona heat. It was barely a 2-minute conversation, but I couldn't shake it from my head. A few months later, I did look for his application, and here he is now, a proud graduate, having written a thesis on how gravity operates in galaxy clusters. Another human connection against the odds. Perhaps you can relate to the idea of making connections against the odds. After all, we are living through one of the most difficult times to connect with people. And yet, we continue to reach out to our friends and family and treasure the smallest interactions. Because, well, that's at the heart of what makes us human, isn't it? When we pause and consider the COVID crisis, isn't it incredible that to tackle a single, simple, microscopic virus will take a blend of high-powered science and engineering, complex ideas from the humanities and social sciences, for this whole story to end well? It's a powerful reminder that our society and its diverse academic pursuits are deeply connected. Of course, as an astrophysicist, I'm not going to tell you that every research problem is interdisciplinary or even relevant for society. There is, in my view, no greater joy than exploring ideas for no particular purpose than simply to understand a little better how the world works. Indeed, you've probably experienced your moments of insight while inhabiting the narrowest and deepest of mental tunnels, which is what life in graduate school is often like, just, for 5 or more years. And as if that weren't enough, these last months have imposed other constraints, another tunnel in the space-time continuum of our lives. So as you emerge from these depths into the spring and summer, look around you. Isn't the natural world more beautiful than ever? In the same vein, try stepping out of your disciplinary boundaries to look afresh at the realm of ideas and society. You deployed your academic training so effectively at addressing the questions that framed your thesis. It may not be quite as evident, but that same training will also let you see the rest of the world with fresh eyes to make the strange familiar and the familiar strange. You have a vision that is original, and it's powerful because you have learned techniques that reveal hidden patterns and interconnections. So, as you re engage with the world outside Penn, blend your instinct for human connection with your intellectual curiosity. Every relationship you cultivate matters. Every helping hand you extend to a neighbor or someone in need has value, especially in these times. And every idea or problem you explore in your field or another will have impact. The COVID crisis is calling on us to live our complete selves as human beings. Yours is a unique graduating class in that you're emerging into a new reality. And I know that when you engage with it in ways large and small, you will change the world. During our quarantine, we have lived a life of enforced austerity of one kind or another. As you have tried to adapt, you may have had a somewhat stunning realization. Our minds are still completely free. What we make of our intellectual life, indeed our entire inner life, is largely up to us. So as you look to the future, use the freedom of your mind to see the interconnected world, to cross some of its boundaries, to create new and beautiful things, to experience mystery and wonder. As Einstein said, the most beautiful thing we can experience is the mysterious. It is the source of all true art and science. Thank you, and good luck to you all.
Our deepest thanks to Professor Jain for his inspiring remarks. While we wish we could be together to offer our good wishes, all of us in the Graduate Division and the School of Arts and Sciences send our heartfelt congratulations to our wonderful graduates. Wherever you are, we are celebrating with you. As we close this ceremony, please note that the Graduate Division webpage contains links to a full listing of students receiving degrees by graduate group, as well as a student photo gallery. Stay well and celebrate heartily.